Okay, parents, we'll go ahead and get started if you'd like. So I wanted to, as promised, I wanted to give you guys more time if you had any questions regarding next year and giving you more time to discuss your concerns that you experienced this year and to tell you, to tell you what we're doing. And but more listen to you and to try to assure you that we are making changes. Um, so we just there was a lot of discussion about last time that we had here we about player movement and player shortages. I think that was big concern uh, for you guys and player movement. No priority, I suppose you could say. Um, so anybody want to start with anything in regards to that? It's just us. It's pretty private.
So can you just recap what we talked about? Because I was out of town and I was trying to listen to this last meeting. So you're grouping all the girls together. Like what are the major changes? I apologize.
No, no problem. Okay, so what we're doing is, okay, so right now, uh, the idea here, the big idea is, I want to make sure that everybody it is clear on this stuff right here. So the idea is, um, ideally we want pure age teams. So in other words, if you're 2009, you stay with your 2019. If you're a 2007, you stay with your 2017. That's ideal. We won't know if we can create that. Every club does that.
Mhm.
Every club does that. This is not an exception to OBF of any kind. Every single club does age pure teams. And if we don't know if we can have age pure teams until after tryouts, there's going to be some changes. There's going to be potentially a gain of players as much as maybe a loss of players. So we don't know. That happens every year as well. That's normal. There's definitely going to be changes in coaching staff as well. They're going to time to rotate some coaches. So once we go through tryouts, then we will kind of get the whole big pool, figure out how many 2010s and so on, 07s we have. We're going to stay, let's just talk about the 08s, for example. If we have plenty of 08 girls to have two teams, then we will have two teams. Uh, if we don't have plenty of 08 girls and we have, like, for example, we have 11 and we need to roster at least five more, something like that, an example. Then we will take the top two of that 11, I mean, the top of that 11 pool and the top of the 09 pool, and then we make a team. And then we take the bottom half and we make another team. So that'd be at 8 and an 09 white and an 8 and an 09 navy. That's only if we don't have age pure teams. So
Gotcha.
that's kind of what we're doing. And we cannot say what's it going to be definitively until we have those numbers in place and finalized after tryouts. We
Right.
still got to
Got it.
send out, after we say yes, you made the team or whatever, they still have to accept it and all that stuff. So it's going to be a process.
Okay. So do you see the 08s playing with the 06s or you don't know? You really can't say?
No, I don't. Ideally, what we'd like to do is, like I said, we like to get those two age groups close together. For
Yeah.
example, the 07s and 08s, maybe. I mean, that's kind of more on the age group, age
Right.
group there, but it's a
Yeah.
good mix rather than having 09s. But we simply just don't know. That may happen. We may have to pull, we may have to use 09s. I mean, we'd have to use 2010s to fill in 09 teams. We don't know.
Yeah. Right.
We're hoping that, like I said, for any club, it's ideal to always have age pure teams. But in this case, since we've been short, we might have to do something a little bit more creative. And What's going to happen this time, there'll be no SAL, whatever the competition thing that we're having. That just created more problems. What that did was it already thinned out, it even further thinned out rosters that are already thin. And it was ridiculous. All it did was really nothing other than made people angry.
Right.
So we're not doing that again. We're not doing that. We're simply just not doing that league anymore. What we will be doing is we will be just staying within our own league, OYSA, and then just put the teams in the proper competition level. That way they'll get competitiveness and they can go to tournaments and compete. Especially the older teams, they can go to showcases. If the Navy teams can go to showcases, so we'll be having that still. Also, one thing not going to happen anymore. If, for example, let's just say that an 09 wants to get pulled up, or the coach of the 08 wants to pull an 09, right? For example, and that was done again. Shouldn't have been done the way it was done, but if that can happen, it's fine. They can borrow the player, but not at the expense if the player has their own game. So if the 09 has a game and it causes a conflict between the games, the 09 has a priority to be with her team, period. There will be no, I'm going to borrow you and skip this game out. No, that's not going to happen.
Okay. Yeah, it's just tough at the end of the season. You've got the double sports going on, and that's what we ran into. Like, it was hard because she also does track, and it's yeah.
Yeah.
At the end.
Well, I mean, that's different. I mean, that's you had a
Yeah,
different.
no, I know. It's just, and I get totally what you're saying. I just know in our case, we had to miss one game because we just had competing sports in our own thing. So yeah, and we felt bad because the numbers were thin, right? We didn't have enough players, so it was like it was hard.
Yeah. It's I think it's hard on, on your player, on you, on the team, on the coach and things like that. So it's kind of hard on everybody, but we're trying to get it to where if we do this, we have plenty of players for each team, regardless of what we do.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of the idea. So that's kind of where we're going. Yeah. So as far as borrowing players, that's not going to happen again. And then also too, yeah, no player movement. What else was I going to say in here? There just be no, there should be enough that we want to be able to have enough players on the team, whether it's mixed or not, or age pure, to be able to be just fine with anybody else missing. You know what I mean? We also want to have the flexibility to be able to bring white players up to play with the Navy.
Right.
We want to go with their own age group first before we go with other age groups, and make sure that they have, for example, if the 08s need a player, they won't borrow it. They'll only borrow from the 09s or something like that. Or no,
Yeah.
actually, they're going to go first for their 08 program, whether that's a white player would come up and play with the 08 Navy instead of grabbing an 09. So
Gotcha.
these kind of things we're going to be also kind of happening. And all this right here that I'm saying is going to be a rollout after tryouts. Right now the season's in play, but all of these changes, we have a coaching meeting on Thursday, which all this stuff is going to be discussed. And this is a rollout of the direction in which the club is moving.
Okay.
The increased communication, which also didn't happen, and it got everybody got things at the last minute or didn't get them at all.
Yeah, I do agree. That was frustrating sometimes, just not finding out. Not finding out that the coach isn't going to be there till a half hour before the game, and we're already on the road. And so there was some miscommunication.
It's so better we're going to try to do as best we can to reduce that. I mean, I'm trying to think back where the experiences I have. We just moved games around, and I don't understand why we can't move things around here the way that we did in where I come from in California. If there was a conflict, we just move it around, right?
Right.
Or coaches or something like that. Or coaches just simply know that there's a conflict, but make sure they communicate those type of things ahead of time. And they
Right.
have coverage. Not, you know, not a parent to take care of the whole thing, but have coverage, like an assistant coach or something that knows about what's going on.
Okay.
So
Okay.
those are the kinds of things that we're going to be, it's going to be new this coming season.
Well,
I
that
had a
sounds
question.
good.
What's that?
No, that sounds good.
Yeah.
So classically in this kind of age group range, we had a number of people moving and jumping age groups and things like that. Are they not doing that now, or is it just even, so those tens that have been playing with the nines, are they back with the tens unless the fill, like what, I guess that's part what I don't understand.
So if the tens played with the nines, if they guest play, that's fine.
No, it was rostered with them and, or rostered with, actually ended up thinking it was an 08. I think it was an 08 that some of them were rostered with.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna try not to do that. We're gonna try not to do that unless there's some kind of exception of whatever, but we're gonna try not to do that. We want to keep everybody in their place. And also too, that's quite of a jump, you know, from a 2010 to an 08. That's quite a jump. I'm sure she can handle it or whatever, but that's quite a jump. So we're gonna try to, if anything, we just move them to the 09s, stuff like that. But other than that, I don't think a 2-year jump is, I mean, not that it hasn't been done before, not that you know, not that that probably your daughter is probably capable of getting it done. It's just not, it's not recommended. But we are,
What I'm saying more is that actually a number of the 09s didn't get a chance to play on a blue team at a higher level for any of the games or things like that because we had youngers rostered and that kind of thing. And
yeah,
so
that's not going to happen.
yeah, okay.
That's not going to happen. So you're saying you had 09s and the 08s when they came, when they wanted somebody, they picked 2010s instead of going to capable 09s?
Yeah, they were rostered that way initially, as well as when looking at tournament things and whatnot, they pulled the nines pulled 2010s instead of the available white 09s. And it, the blue for the 09s this year that was playing in the DPL league was actually playing in an 08 league.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. There's going to be none of that anymore. That league is no longer that's not going to work for us anymore.
Yeah,
But
I understand that league is gone, but it was more like if we are truly going to this, that the initial is going to be within that grouping, in that birth year grouping.
yes. Yes, that's right. So if the 2009s need players, right? The first team that they should go to get players is the white, to give them the opportunity to go up and play for the white. I mean, for the Navy, get the experience. Okay. The last resort, if the 09 white has a conflict game at the same time as the Navy 09, then yes, now we can go to see if the 10s are available. But other than that, to directly go to a 10, that's not going to work. We're not doing that anymore. We want to pick from age group within the own age group to fill those particular slots that are available, giving those whites the opportunity to play. Whether they're ready for it or not, that will be determined upon the play. So you're going to be trying to, that's why they're also sometimes going to be pulled up to practice. That way it gives them an idea where they're at. But that's kind of the idea of where we're going.
Oh.
Pulling to other age groups to dismantle and lower down a team because you want to win, it's not what we want to do anymore.
Yeah, And I have multiple children's in the club, so I've been on both sides of these things. And so that's why I was trying to figure out where our direction forward was.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And again, this is a rollout. All of these changes are going to be starting to be effective as after tryouts and the teams are set. But as you guys know, this rollouts or something that you bring in new, it takes time to make changes. Those things are immediate because that's like right away, right? But the process of getting everybody on board, people are going to be upset more than likely. Parents are going to be upset. This is going to be something that's much more manageable and much more effective, and it does look like a club in the future. So we're looking in the distance, not the short view. So that's kind of where we're going. But this is going to be something that we're addressing and stuff like that, and then we're going to be it's going to be a process that takes time. Like I said, not necessarily the team building or the player movement, but the rest of it. I'm talking about the the coaching and everything else is going to be the communication is going to be improving in time, things like that. So we're also going to be another thing that's happening is our coaching are also, it's time to rotate our coaches around. So some people may not have the same coaches. So it's time some people will, because we already know the coaches that are going to be on a particular team. But at this time, I can only tell you that 2 are stationary, the rest are going to be rotated out. It's time to do rotations. We had one coach be with the same team for 4 years. That's 3 years is max. 2-year rotation is typical. Then you bring in a new coach. We received all your evaluations of the coaches. From that, we're going to have a coaching meeting and kind of discuss that and things like that. And from there, we'll talk to the coaches individually to let them know what teams are going to have. So that's another thing that's happening. Any other questions? Like I said, this is just us. You can ask as many as you want.
I was curious, we seem to, at the older age group, starting to get a few more injuries and those kind of things. And one thing that I've noticed, we've been kind of in this program since my daughter was young. If there's going to be a little bit more emphasis or on strengthening and injury prevention.
Yeah, by simply, yes, of course. I'll tell you how that's going to work really, really quick. Just simply on injury prevention is having all these games all at one time and having one girl play 3 to 4 games a weekend. That's injury prevention already in itself. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's a lot of minutes. You know what I mean? That's I mean, even going to tournaments is a lot, but usually you give them a break and recovery time. You know what I mean? But having to do that every single weekend, that's not good. That leads to injuries. I mean, that right there itself is going to decrease the number of injuries. Also, too, we're going to be talking about all this when it comes to our coaching clinics. We're talking about, flexibility, proper warm-ups and proper cool downs and stuff like that, and flexibility. Try to see if the club can get us a, foam roller, since we have we have a storage location there. Have about at least 6 foam rollers and maybe rollers as well. I mean, muscle rollers, those little ones and stuff like that. We want to have that available and stuff for us to be able to use, especially after a heavy tournament. You know what I mean? They have a recovery day. And we'll be talking about that with coaches, but flexibility, that also helps out with injury, because I see some of our players, they have a warm up with a dynamic stretch, but they don't have a cool down with a dynamic and or a static stretch. And so that stuff needs to be worked, and that also decreases injuries as well too. Also, proper training. What's the volume, the intensity, the duration, you know what I mean? The frequency, all those kind of things we have to consider that too. And we don't know what they're doing. Other sports could be doing the damage, not us necessarily. For example, if they're playing basketball, they're going from a soft turf field to a hard floor. That'll do it to you. You know what I mean? That's going to do it. If you are running with us and then all of a sudden, which I don't see a lot of running with us, but if you go and play track, or you do track or long distance running or things like that, you might get injuries just simply with shin splints and or tight IT bands. That's because you changed your intensity, your workload went up higher. So sometimes it's out of our control when it comes down to injury prevention. We can only modify anything that we do within ours, but what the girls do after, the coaches there have to have the same knowledge and be aware of the two things that are happening.
And then I had one more question.
Sure.
So we're in the college search right now and trying to find a team and all of that. And a lot of colleges are asking for like beep scores and 40 and that. Is that something that we might incorporate into some of what we do like through the summer, or is that stuff we need to be doing on our own?
These are college coaches that are asking you for that information?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't, that's usually something that that organization takes care of, not us. Because anytime somebody came to us, like, San Jose State University, we came to us, we did all that testing on our own. Because we don't know what the environment was for that test. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just different ways. There's no way we can tell him. That's just, I don't know why he even asked that question. He should be more asking for video.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Does that answer your question as far as injury management?
Yes, I just, a lot of these girls are just not very, very strong as they're coming through the program. And I was just wondering if some of the strength training and that was going to happen there, or we needed to make sure that were doing it on our own.
Yeah. Oh, no, we can do strength training. Like I said, I mean, like I said, we'll be having coaching clinics and stuff like that to introduce a variety of things, right? Speed and agility, plyometrics, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Resistance training, you know what I mean? Things like that. So we'll be offering those things, you know what I mean? But we don't, it's how the coaches incorporate it in what day they choose to incorporate that stuff. That's a little bit, that's up to the coaching decision, really what it is, but we as coaches, sometimes we'll do strength and, some kind of resistance training. It's typically, at least for myself, it is typically on my to do for the week. My training sessions for the week, it's planned already in what we're going to be doing. So the more you address those kind of things, resistance training, at least for a little bit, it doesn't take very long to do that stuff. You know what I mean? It's 15 minutes or so, whatever you want to do, but it kind of improves it. But overall, just kind of limiting the amount of games that they have is going to be a massive difference already. And then plus the strength training with us, or whatever we do, like the fitnesses that we do, and flexibility more than anything else, just a good flexibility, cool downs at the end. That'll also reduce any muscle potential injuries.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Abe, you good?
Is
I'm
that
good.
Abby?
Abby,
Yeah, I'm good.
sorry,
No worries, no problem.
you good? Okay. Anybody else? This is good. We have a small group.
No, thanks. I think you covered everything that I was thinking of, so. It was helpful.
If I get a thumbs up from the rest of you, I mean, it's again, where this is it's dependent upon tryouts And from there, we choose what direction we're going to go. But the things that I said about, age pure, player movement, and model rollout is all, it's effectively as of after tryouts. And that's the direction in which we're going. And we'll be having a coaching meeting, like I said, on Thursday, to make sure that everybody understands what direction we're going, at least as far as what I told you there. So we're trying to make it, trying to get it better, trying to get it centralized, or at least just kind of a little bit more where people, and also, improvement of communication, all that stuff, trying to get everything that's in better for you guys and for the coaches and for you parents and for your daughters as well too. It may not be exactly what you guys want, but in the long run, it's going to be so much better as a collective club, because that's what we're looking at. We're not looking at what's in the best interest of one team. We got to look at what's in the best interest of the club in the long distance. You know what I mean? I'm talking about the 2014s, 2015s. If we can have it, we're starting the organization now, and it'll be pretty good. We want to see some changes and stuff that'll maybe your daughters have maybe things that they didn't like, and we're hoping to be able to straighten those things out by the time we get to the 2014, 2015 girls and beyond that, because it'll be kind of set now. Understand? Kind of makes sense to everybody? Good. Okay, are we good then?
All good, thank you.
Okay. Well, if you have any more questions that come up, feel free to give me a call. I'll be happy to talk to you guys. Sounds good?
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
No problem. No problem.
All right. Have a good night.
Okay, you too. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye.